Alright, so game number 2 is gonna be on Aztec, and okay, you ready for it?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Alright, let's go.
This is a map which doesn't really favor Zerg, but I do believe it favors NeMu in this matchup. It favors the player, but not the race.
Yeah.
Race, it's rather balanced these days. It used to be Zerg favored in the matchup, now it's more balanced as Protoss have figured out how to play on this map. But I don't think that top level Korean Protosses really know how to use this map. So I think it favors NeMu.
Oh, so, just a second, I got the result wrong. I think there's when at least I can say that when we used to do something like fun cups, you know, in LRM and things like these, there were a few players that would usually stand out that you wouldn't think that they are, you know, the highest maybe caliber players. So, and NeMu was one of them because he had these crazy builds and he knew how to pull them off. So it was very difficult to play against him always. You always had to be on your toes. Your scouting, especially scouting. If you could get the scouting right, then usually you'd be in a good position against NeMu. But yeah, people got more than once upset because they thought that they should have won, but they faced something that they didn't know about. So.
Right. Yeah, NeMu, he's, I think he's kind of like a crazier, more offensive Julia, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't play standard like Julia, and he likes to rush high, he likes to drop. You know, so he's very similar to Julia, but he's more offensive. He's even crazy.
I have to say that I do like that a little bit because many times that keeps you on your toes if you have somebody like that to practice with. And because if you always play the same kind of styles, especially this is something that I've seen a lot in Fish when, you know, Koreans stream, a lot of the games are very, very similar. Now, of course, they've played so many games that they still know how to react to crazy things, but it doesn't feel like they actually practice any of these other builds. Well,
yeah, but the thing is that the Koreans have such good game sense and are so good at the game that whenever somebody tries like a silly cheese, it just gets stopped. It's like, nope, what are you doing? But that's with them, with the foreigners, that's because they know what to do. Like, we don't. We're not good. So, we need to practice against cheese to learn how to deal with it.
Well, I mean, this is actually one of the things that I've always, like, had a mental debate with myself, if that makes any sense. Like, if you're playing as somebody that you believe is much better than you, do you play cheese, which most likely your opponent knows even better than you do, or do you go for something more standard? But, oh, no.
Never mind, what else? He can't. Well, okay, it depends on how good he is. If you're like D and he's C, yes, cheese. If you're like C and he's A+,
I mean, yeah, exactly. What do you do?
It's gotta be some good cheese, bro. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean,
cheese. Yeah.
I mean, I know that if you kind of practice the cheese and you know exactly the timings and everything else, and how you can get countered when you do that, then okay, yeah, fine. No. But if you're trying to pull something crazy because like you lose the first game and you're thinking to yourself, maybe I can pull off the cheese, and you don't actually have it ready,
you can't just like an ad hoc, half-assed, you know, mediocre cheese is only gonna work against like C players.
Yeah.
So if you're D and C, you can do that. But if you want to cheese somebody who knows what he's doing, you gotta have a prepared, effective cheese. That's the kind of cheese that can defeat Koreans, you know. Because he's off guard, he messes up, he makes one mistake, and that's it, he's dead.
Yeah.
But it's got to be a good cheese that you practice. It's got to be like a quality Swiss.
Yeah, okay, so I think we can agree on that. Definitely you have to have that prepared. Okay, so NeMu taking the closer base because I guess it's the gas base?
Yeah, it is the closest gas base that you can take. And given that he usually is so aggressive in the mid-game,
yeah.
I guess he thinks that Protoss isn't gonna have an opportunity to attack.
To be aggressive himself.
That's what I'm guessing.
Okay, so this game, I wonder if this game Kuso is gonna get that Corsair, because it definitely would have helped him a lot.
On this map, he's gotta get it, honestly. Like, if you don't do it on this map, and the opponent goes mass mutiling, that's it, man, you're dead. You can't deal with mutiling on this map. That's all good.
Actually, wait a second. If you don't get Stargate and your opponent goes for mutiling, is there a way that you can effectively stop it? Because what I mean is, if you put a lot of defense in your natural, like cannons, they're not going to move. So the mutas can go for the main and harass. While on the flip side, if you try to make a mobile army, like for example Narcon, because I guess an Narcon is the only thing that kind of makes sense, then you still have to catch the mutas. So you can keep doing damage.
You can't catch the mutas unless you. I mean, you can go Dark Archon. That's the one thing you can do.
Yeah, that's.
So there are two things to do. First, you basically attack, so you force the Zerg to defend or he dies. It's very hard to do. You gotta get momentum early for that to work.
Yeah.
But that only works for a while, and then after that, you gotta get a Dark Archon and you gotta mainstream it basically. And some good games to see that are Jangby versus some Zerg like Zero, I think, in the OSL.
Yeah.
He did that. He did both of those things. He did the attack in the beginning, and then he followed it up with a Maelstrom.
I actually remember a more crazy game, but it's an older one. This was from WCG, where I think it was Stork versus maybe Midian or something like that, where actually Stork lost his natural and was down to the main, and already mutas were out, and he still won the game because he went down Karkan from there.
Wow.
So yeah, definitely.
Crazy stuff with Koreans against foreigners. Like people winning when they shouldn't. It's really crazy. Produces some sick games.
I would guess the Jangby, the one that he won when he also lost the natural. I don't know if it was against Zero. I don't remember.
Oh yeah, that was against Zero.
Okay, so that was a crazy comeback. Okay, so mutas are going to be coming out, and the Corsair.
Oh, it's Muta. I see.
Oh, the Corsair.
It's free at Muta, straight up.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a cannon in the main. And only one cannon in the natural, that's a little bit scary.
And only one Corsair, so far nothing more.
Oh, he's not continuing his Psylocke, man. He is Psylocke. He can't make more Corsairs, and it's free at Muta.
Okay. I mean...
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I think that's it.
I mean, he wasn't really even on the map. I'm really surprised that he allowed himself to be supplying.
You know, I don't know.
They're still not building the Corsair, only now starting the second one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that was a little bit anticlimactic, I guess. It's still not over, but it will be.
I think it kind of is, to be honest. I'm sorry, but I would leave at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely leave.
The side block of Doom.
And this is like one really painful way to lose, because you feel like you completely screwed up and your opponent basically won the game straight up. There's nothing. But in between, there's no, okay, I made some micro mistakes that I can do better. No, this is just a mistake, and that's it.
Oh, but anyway, speaking about the cheese and better players, there is a second option. And that option is not to outright cheese, but to play a slightly inferior but non-standard style. So an example of that would be like a mech timing push TVZ, what NeMu did in game 1 of this set, stuff like that. It's not outright cheese, which means it is stronger than cheese, but it is on-standard enough to possibly defeat a superior player.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are a lot of these kind of moves that you can pull off.
But you gotta know it. You gotta know that style. Like you need to have practiced that kick 10,000 times too. And then because you know it and your opponent doesn't, that's why it works.
There are definitely a lot of old builds that people have forgotten and that are still very effective. So I definitely see that that happening. Alright, so unfortunately for Kuso, that's gonna be it. So NeMu does take this 2-0. Relatively straightforward, especially the second one. The first game, smart moves from NeMu, but eventually winning. But in this game, yeah.
You know, if he had 2 high Templars at his third base, he could have won that. 2 high Templars with perfect reactions. Because he had like 4 at his natural and 1 at the third base, that's not a good mixture. He should have had like 3 at the front and 2 in the back. And if he had reacted perfectly, storming the Overlords as they were coming in, he would have probably won that game.
Definitely. I mean, I was looking at that, and for a second there, I thought, do you storm the Overlords, or do you wait for the drop? And I thought to myself, of course you storm the Overlords, because the cannons are going to kill more things that are in the Overlords before. And he saw that with a probe. So it's not like, you know, it's coming in and you don't see it and you react late.
No. He should have definitely reacted there and stormed the Overlord. And he should have had 2 storms there.
I mean, he had only 1 High Templar, and it had 1.5 storms.
Yeah.
So
he needed that.
But though one thing that I think happened is that Kuso expected the attack from the how we call this.
The front.
No, not from the front, but he expected it from the side disruptors, because he saw the lurkers coming in early on. So he might have thought that these are only like for spotters, not really to be doing a drop.
Oh, but you gotta expect a drop when you see the overlord speed,
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing is that's what I'm saying, that maybe that's why. I'm not sure. All right, so.